Let me give you 3 examples. Okay. And when I go through these examples, it's just to illustrate this average Joe thing, because I've seen for years, small business owners have a picture in their mind of the candidate that they need to onboard into their company, and they totally misunderstand how good their opportunity is, how attractive their opportunity is, while also misunderstanding the actual type of person that can come in, the average Joe, and actually see success in the position. And this is super important that you understand this today, because if you miss this piece, then you're really missing the type of opportunities with recruits that can bring you money. Now, these 3 examples, they're kind of on the broad end of the average Joe spectrum or whatever, right? And so these 3 examples are people that actually don't have sales experience. Now, in the sales recruiting process, we recruit over 1,000 commission-based sales reps every single month. 80+% of those are people that have some type of sales experience in the past. These 3 examples of average Joes don't have sales experience, and they ended up being top reps at these 3 different types of sales opportunities and companies. And the reason I'm going to explain this, so you maybe opened up your eyes a little bit in terms of the type of candidate that you can bring on board and retain. So the first one was a B2B software company recently, B2B software company. Okay. So they took our leadership around not being too picky in terms of a resume background, and they hired based on specific culture fit, DISC personality assessment tool that we'll talk about, and a candidate scorecard tool that we'll talk about as well. And instead of making assumptions on the candidate's background, they got a little bit more objective with these tools that we implement in the hiring process. And they hired somebody that actually was like in their 30s. And the guy was like at UPS for the last 7 years. And again, when you hear this, I'm not saying this is the only type of person that you should be hiring. I'm saying like you may be missing out on recruiting opportunities. And if your opportunity is actually not attractive, then you trying to get recruits like me, as an example, may be outside of reality. Hopefully this is clear. But anyways, this B2B software company, it was actually a 1099 field sales opportunity in California, or at least that's where they started growing the organization like 3 to 4 months ago. And they actually, unorthodox to what they've done before, they hired a guy that actually worked at UPS for the last 7 years. But he came in, loved the product, loved the service, loved the leadership, was really excited, seemed to align with the values of the company. He passed his DISC assessment, personality assessment tool that I'll talk about in a second. And he also passed the candidate scorecard tool that I'll talk about in a second. Our client said, hey, because they passed A, B, and C, we're going to hire them. Anyways, this UPS guy that has never done sales before, he's actually the hardest worker at the company, and they have about a sales team of 30 sales reps now. And the guy with the least amount of sales experience at the company is actually the hardest working rep at the company. Now, he's working towards being the top producer, but anyways, he's above average. He's producing well over quota, and he's showing up every single day with the attitude, producing and doing the work. Okay, so that's a quick example. Another example is a door-to-door roofing company that we onboarded probably like 6 to 8 months ago. So we help a bunch of roofing and solar companies to all sorts of industries, but those are really common. A D2D roofing company. This company had about 15 reps before they joined us, and they were super picky in their hiring process. In their first round of recruiting, they hired 4 reps. 1 fell off. 2 of them were sales experience, had really specific sales experience, like outside sales experience that was somewhat similar to the roofing sales job. And the other person, which was really unique compared to any type of person that they've hired in the past, was actually another guy in his mid-30s. He was a college professor. He had been a professor for like roughly a decade, no sales experience, amazing attitude, had all those attributes, and went through the same process that I just talked about with the B2B software company. And they hired him. And in month 2, he produced 100K in revenue, and he moved up to being their top guy immediately. And now their team is roughly about 20. The college professor guy that has the least amount of sales experience on their team ended up being their top producer within just like 2 to 3 months of joining the organization. Before, that company would never hire somebody like that because they don't have the very specific sales experience on their background. Okay. But when we have a commission-based sales opportunity, if we are not providing training pay and lead opportunities, hitting the calendar, and it's just like the very top level type of commission-based sales opportunity, then we need to maybe be open to a different type of candidate. That is primarily my point in this portion of the training. Another example internally within our sales team, and we'll move on. Quincy, appointment setter. He came through a recruiting process. Little champion, all ripped up, sports guy, really excited, good energy, good attitude, and kind of hit all those benchmarks as well. But he just came out of high school, and he had one job from high school, and he was a medical tech at a hospital, never had done sales before, but he hit all the other requirements. And we were just hiring into this entry-level sales position. So we were really open to, that type of person too. He didn't even have much work experience, and he's our top setter at the company, right? I don't even think he's missed a day of work in the last year and a half, 100 calls every single day, produces appointments every single day. He's awesome. He's consistent. He produces. He loves his job. He's got a good attitude, and he brings in revenue to the company. Now, the reason reason I give you those examples is most small business owners, when they think about building a sales team, they would look at the background of those candidates and they'd go, no, not worth my time. Okay. Well, with these companies, these people have brought in millions of revenue. Okay, that's my point here. So you don't want to judge a book by its cover, especially when you have a commission-based opportunity, which may not be that attractive compared to other opportunities in the marketplace. Whole opportunity A and B thing. DISC assessment and candidate scorecard. Just to go through that real quick. When clients work with us, we give them unlimited DISC assessments. So they don't have to pay like $50 for every DISC assessment. We just invest to give unlimited access to that thing. But DISC assessment, if you're not familiar with it, it's just a personality assessment. It's one of the top 2 personality assessments. There's certain DISC behavioral styles that determine if most likely this person is a decent sales candidate. It's not a perfect science, but it's a tool that can help you screen people in the recruiting process and maybe understand if this kid that was a medical tech or the college professor or the guy that worked at UPS, if they could potentially see success in sales, right? There's these cool objective things that you can implement into your recruiting process that can help screen out people that maybe don't have that perfect background, right? So it's not letting everybody work with you, but it's not being too strict on the background and just utilizing some additional systems like the DISC assessment to help screen in the recruiting process. So our clients, what they do is they use the DISC assessment and they use a candidate scorecard. You can use a candidate scorecard literally tomorrow. Really simple. When our clients get off one-on-one interviews with clients, with candidates, they have a candidate scorecard, and really you're just rating the candidate based on their skill set and if they're a culture fit, right? So skill set 1 to 5, right? So they have like a little document and you can just create your own. It's because it's really simple, or you can just use like a yellow notepad or whatever. So you get off an interview with me, Ryan Homan, you want to write down notes immediately because top of mind. Well, at the end of the one-on-one interview, what our clients do, and they go, hey, awesome meeting you today. We got a bunch of other people to meet that are interested in moving forward. And we're only going to be hiring 2 people to start this coming Monday, but it looks like you're ready to rock and roll. You're excited about moving forward. Okay, great. Here's what I want you to do by the end of the day at the latest, if you're really looking to be considered for the opportunity. And we're going to reach out to everybody by the end of the day tomorrow to talk about next steps, whether it's a job offer or if we hit our hiring cap or whatever. But here's what I want you to do, Ryan. I'm going to drop a DISC personality assessment in the Zoom chat box, or if it's a face-to-face interview, I'm going to text this to you right now. What I want you to do is I want you to complete this. It'll only take you 10 to 15 minutes. Complete it, send it back to me if you're really interested in moving forward and starting Monday, like you just said that you are, right? And then the candidate, they actually have to step away from the one-on-one interview. And outside of them just verbally saying that they're interested in wanting to move forward, they got to do that additional step. And this is after they've gone through the entire recruiting process that I'm going to go through right now, the screening process leading up to the one-on-one. They have to complete the DISC assessment, send it back to you. Okay. And that shows that they actually are interested. But that DISC assessment, they need to hit certain profiles for them to be considered for the opportunity. But to go back to the candidate scorecard, you get off your one-on-one interview, hypothetically with me. Now I got my steps to get the DISC assessment done, but you get off your one-on-one with me and it's top of mind and you do your candidate scorecard. And really you're putting down notes and you're rating from 1 to 5, my skill sets from your perspective in the interview, as well as how much of a culture fit I am based on your interview. And you rate me from 1 to 5, right? So Ryan Homan skill set notes, blah, 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 1 to 5. I'm going to rate Ryan 4 out of 5. Culture fit notes, blah, 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 notes, 5 out of 5 for culture fit. And then you total it from 1 to 10. Well, if it was 4 on skill sets, 5 on culture fit, that would be 9 out of 10. And pretty much you get the candidate scorecard back. And if they're specific DISC behavioral styles, and if the candidate scorecard that you rated them 1 to 5, total 10, if they were at least 7 or more, if you have the DISC assessment profiles and the candidate scorecard is at least 7 and those things overlap, then it's worth a hire. That's how these clients chose these specific recruits and how we chose that 19, 20-year-old setter internally before bringing them on board, although he was just a medical tech. Now, for that young of a guy or person, they're going to typically only be suited for like an entry-level setter role, whether that's canvassing, knocking doors, or remote B2B, or a call center B2B calling. But hopefully this is making sense. That's the way that you can better understand who the average Joes are in the marketplace, is by candidate scorecards, personality assessments, and screening a lot on the front end, which is what I think we're going to get to here in just a couple minutes.